And our first player, he is representing Team TCAP. He is the red Zerg player from Le Francais. It's Denver.
Oh, you're so cultured, Grant. Look at you pulling out these fancy French words, and who knows? I don't even know what you said. I'm just so blown away. It's very impressive. And his opponent in the bottom right-hand side in the blue, representing Sweden and Cosmos Esports, it is SortOf.
Cosmos logo is beautiful. God damn! I love these new teams with their kick-ass logos.
It's like designers finally looked at StarCraft and they were like, you know, we could probably help you guys out a little bit if you just like pay me $25 and I'll make your team logo not look like crap. And everyone aside from Team Liquid is like, hey, wait a minute, that's a great idea, because Team Liquid already had a good logo, and everybody else is like, what, a good logo? Hang on a minute. Well, very standard openings here so far. Looks like hatch gas pools on both sides, Grant, and we might be going into a decently long game here.
Yeah, definitely. We're starting off without any massive aggression from either player, and that sort of would indicate that there's still, of course, a possibility we see a very quick Evo chamber and +1 or something along those lines. But right now, both players going to... Oh, Denver, I saw that. Going to be going into just a standard, a standard opening. Really no variation here. I do think Denver has a lot to prove right now, and I'd like to think he's really going to go for this, because although he is not statistically eliminated, he's not statistically eliminated. He's got a lot. If he wants to get through, he'd need a near miracle. But he hasn't been able to show himself in the way that he'll be happy with. And I think no matter what right now, that's what you're looking to do, right? Make an account for yourself, make the people that support you proud, and if you can win 125 buckly doodles, do that as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When you get up to 0-4 in the group and you're just maybe already eliminated based on what the other players do anyway, you find yourself in maybe a bit of a tough spot, but I think maybe also a bit of a psychologically freeing spot as well, where you can then say, you know what, all right, I guess I'm not making it to the group stage now. Now I just have to put my all into every single match, and the pressure's really off. I just have to win these one-off and think of more as show matches than of anything else. So I can't speak to where Denver's head is at, but he definitely wants to win this one. But SortOf, of course, with a lot more on the line, he's really, really going to be putting it all up here to make this work.
Yeah, first Queen of Denver is going to make its way over to deal with these pesky lings. Only 2 of them here will not be able to get a cancel, of course, but just going to soften up a little bit. Baneling Nest does go down, but we see SortOf doing something a bit different. He is sort of mixing it up, as he is not going to throw down that Baneling Nest. Instead, going for a very, very fast Roach Warren. He wants to skip the Ling Bane section of the game, if he can, but this does leave him pretty vulnerable to the Ling Bane here of Denver, and if Denver identifies this, which he did as it went down to the second, he might be able to punish him. We can already see quite a lot of Lings coming out of Denver right now.
Yeah, he's pumping out a few extra links here. I doubt he'll really go across the map and try and crank through an attack. You can see his link speed just finishing now, but I find it unlikely that Denver's really going to go for any sort of large-scale attack here. He's getting an Evo chamber back home. That third base still just finishing up. He is already on 30 drones, so he's not going to go for some sort of huge flood, I don't think. We can see him droning up as well. So a couple Bailings out, but this is really nice pressure from SortOf here on the third base, getting that third base down to about 2/3 health right now, making it a more attractive target for later in the game. And no such damage has been done by Denver on the other side.
Yeah, SortOf cranking out some Lings now. His Roach Warren has finished. His Evo chamber finishing also. We do see the Roach Warren going down here for Denver, behind the mineral line, as the wall is complete, of course, with the Baneling Nest. So the Roaches here of Denver could come as a bit of a surprise if they do hit. We see the first couple being produced here by SortOf, who is also picking up his lair. Everything pretty normal as +1 starts off here for a Swedish Zerg. And it's certainly shaping up to go a little bit longer.
A little surprised not to see a lair already out of Denver. This is definitely a valid timing at 4 minutes to not have a lair yet, but with the Roach Warren already down and knowing your opponent's going for Roaches much earlier than you, I would have thought he might have wanted to tech up just a little bit. So that's something you want to keep your eyes on, is when Denver's lair goes down, because of course you can't do Roach speed without that lair already on the map. I would be a little surprised to see him not getting one soon, because slow Roaches versus fast Roaches is a huge difference. Nice little scout here from SortOf.
Yeah, SortOf getting in with a few Lings. He's going to be able to... Oh, he doesn't get the Queen. That's a very unlucky pickup. Ends up actually losing quite a lot of Lings. Some Lings will get in at the third and pick up a drone. Maybe 2. Most likely 2. Yeah, just a 1. Nice save there. But Roach is now coming out to clear this up. all things considered, Denver defended very well there. Both of his queens got real beat up, but they live, and they're very important units going forward. He really wants to keep them alive. Now, he did show that he is producing roaches, and we can see SortOf is counter-producing roaches. SortOf has a slight economic lead and a pretty hefty half an upgrade lead. So he's looking all right. We see a little bit of a counter down here, but Roach is already in position for SortOf, and everything is just rocking and rolling into the mid game.
Still no lair out of Denver, which indicates that this Roach push, he actually intends to have a little bit of oomph behind it. The bad news is SortOf already has Roach speed and his +1 missile attack slightly ahead of Denver's. And when I say slightly, I mean pretty significantly ahead of Denver's, which means the timing window for Denver to hit is going to pass in about 10 seconds. And as long as SortOf can keep Denver back on his base, there's no way he can push out. I've got to see what Denver wants to transition to here. Finally, the lair goes down, but look at this, SortOf already shifting into that Spire tech. Denver just a little bit slow here, focusing on economy at the expense of tech, but building way too much of an army to really be justified right now. Look at that, 53 army supply, and in the ZVZ, if that army's not attacking, it's just wasted. It's just putting you behind.
He could have committed to an attack there. I'm very surprised to see he just got, like, you know, however many lings this many lings is. It's hard to see under, like, 15 lings down into the third, and the drones were pulled and grouped together. He could have taken down the queen. The roaches were a little bit further away, instead opted to try and run towards the natural. Denver has, as we said, like a pretty significant army lead right now, but his upgrades are behind. SortOf really on point here, standing as +2 the moment it finishes, and his Glara Constitution has finished as well. So those roaches, speedy boys. Finally, roach speed starting up here for Denver, but as you said, yeah, Denver's just not really... his tech's just been a little bit further behind. He produced a few too many units that he's not done damage with, but he doesn't need to defend. So tech-wise, he is behind. I do think he's probably going to go for his Spire himself pretty soon, as he does have 6 gases saturated from what I can see. Yep. Oh, he's going for Hydras. Okay, he knows that he's probably behind in the tech choice and is going to opt for Hydralisks. And if he can survive the muta pressure that's already on the way, that can work out here for Denver, but these mutas are going to be a real nightmare. They're going to be hitting pretty shortly, and there's no static defense down yet.
Definitely. That Hydra Den finishing up now for Denver. Quick note for you, Grant. With most overlays, each row of units is 8 units if you have a group of units selected. For some reason on this overlay, instead of 8, it's 12. So each row is about 12, and there's about 2 control groups that you can see. That's always my mental shorthand for trying to figure it out there. Nice cancel from Denver, by the way. But yeah, I like this Hydra play from Denver, actually. Very smart. I was going to say it's usually tough to get Hydras out because I thought his gas was a little bit low, but he's taken his 5th and 6th gases. So he's got plenty of gas to crank that Hydra count up, and we see 12 popping out already. And that is a critical mass. 12 Hydras is just enough to fight these Mutalisks. So even though they might get a couple pickoffs here and there, the Mutalisk's not going to be as effective. Now that these Hydras are on the map, and of course, SortOf's going to spot those mutas and should know that he definitely can't do much more than this.
Yeah, very nice defense so far here. A couple of drones do go down, but it's only really a couple. Damage not really being found. That was, of course, quite a small run by down here at the third of SortOf. Now, Denver's pushing out, and he does have a very strong army. These mutas are very frustrating, but there is a queen that is a Spore Crawler. That Spore is actually doing so much damage to a Mutalisk. One of them nearly going down here, and every unit is going to matter, but Denver is almost maxed. He's moving across right now. He does have an upgrade disadvantage at only +1, +2 finishing as I speak right now here for SortOf, but Hydras provide so much DPS, especially, does he have Groove Spines? No, okay. Especially once they get a couple of those upgrades in. You can see them in the back just constantly attacking so fast. Banelings, if they can get the connections on the Hydras though, can absolutely turn this fight.
Beautiful flank there on those Banelings in the back. That was absolutely gorgeous from SortOf. Denver didn't expect those slow Banelings at all, and they trapped those Hydras. The Banelings exploding on the much more glass cannon-y Hydras, and the Mutalisk's even going to sweep in now to clean up some more of those Hydras. And Denver knows he's been licked. GG, SortOf grabs game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty textbook of Denver making just a few too many units and never been able to do too much with them. He was ahead in army value the entirety of the game, really. And what that meant is he was behind in workers active. So, you know, SortOf just making a great decision there. His Spire finding what it needed to do, and then the fight, the Baneling flank, absolutely beautiful. Textbook win there from SortOf to get the day started. Nice to see just a good, solid game from Mr. Mechanics as we move on to Everdream.
You know, it's really interesting to see, especially a mirror matchup, but doubly so a ZVZ that doesn't at some point converge. I feel like almost every ZVZ either starts out, they're both Lingbane, they both move to Roach Ravager, Spires come out, or at least at some point, one player starts on Roaches and the other player catches up, and then there's a big Roach Ravager war. Then the next player goes Spire, and then another one counter Spires, and they come together. That series, neither player had the same army composition the entire game. And it was really interesting to see the chess that was being played. I think Denver thought he was going to counter those mutas just a little bit more effectively, and then never engaged with them. So a bit of mistake there from Denver. And we'll see if he can pull it back here in game 2, as you said, on Everdream LE. These players drawing from the very standard pool of maps.
I really want to see different maps. I'm so done with these maps. When you cast all day, every day, and it's just Everdream, Eternal Empire, Ice and Chrome, and Death Aura, kind of gets a little old. I'd love to see I just want to see Submarine. Just show me Submarine. It's a pretty map. Show me Submarine.
Well, maybe you'll get your wish later today. We do have, I think, some more Zerg players coming up later, so fingers crossed we'll get to see that. But let's hop in now, Grant, to game number 2, as these two Zerg players are facing off with a fair amount at stake here, especially for SortOf.
First of all, introducing our player in the top right, leading the series 1-0. He is Swedish Zerg player representing Cosmos Esports. I find that so hard to say today. It's SortOf.
And his opponent in the bottom left-hand side in the blue, representing France and enjoying a partial sponsorship right now from KAP. It is Denver. Now, it's funny, Grant, that you talk about not being able to say some things very well. I'm also struggling today. I think I told you, Grant, I had treated myself this morning because I was like, you know what, it's a big DreamHack day. I may as well have some fun with it and eat something that's bad for me. So I went to the grocery store this morning and brought to the office a box of Captain Crunch. And
what's Captain Crunch?
You don't know what Captain Crunch is?
We don't have it here.
What?
I don't know, like, I know it's a cereal, of course, but I don't know, like, what it is, what kind of cereal is it? Talk to me,
Grant, it's so I don't know if you I know in Britain you have these similar cereals where there's some sort of puffed grain that's been sprayed with like a sugar vitamin mixture.
Yep.
It's that, I think it's oats or corn, or I don't know what it doesn't taste like. It doesn't taste like food, right?
It just tastes like sugar.
Tastes weird, yeah. But the problem with Captain Crunch is that the process that they make it by is these little yellow squares, and the yellow squares are like actively sharp on the corners and sides. So while you're eating it, you get this lovely crunching sensation because, of course, it's coated with a candy shell. But it also tears the crap out of the roof of your mouth if you're not like super careful. Because if one of the squares catches the roof of your mouth and then you bite down on something else, then it like rubs up against it and rubs your mouth raw. So my hard palate right now on the top of my mouth is currently covered with dozens and dozens of micro tears and micro abrasions. And I keep like tonguing the top side of my mouth as if it's going to heal it a little bit quicker. So I'm also struggling a bit today. So between the two of us, we should have a great cast.
Yeah, definitely. This game has started off identical to the last game. Hutch gas pool, speed starting off for both. 2 left in gas here for SortOf. Denver opting for the exact same. Really very, very standard across the board macro openings from both of our Zergs. Thirds taken at most identical timings as well. Really, it comes down to mineral pairing, RNG on how they split, things like that for those microseconds, but everything very standard. First variation, we see the Baneling Nest going down for SortOf. Denver, though, is going to copy and do the exact same thing.
So wait, Grant, what sugared cereals do you eat in the UK if you don't have Captain Crunch?
I don't eat cereal.
If a child wants like a sugary cereal, but they don't want Captain Crunch, what do they go for? Frosties?
Yeah, we have Frosties. Frosties are alright. They're great. No. We have like Wheatos. We have. What else do we have? Honestly, don't even know what cereal we have. It's been that long since I ate a bowl of cereal.
Really? Okay.
I haven't eaten cereal in probably 15 years.
I'm not normally a cereal guy either, but this morning I was just hit with an urge, and I was like, you know what, this will be fun. It'll be a throwback, and it'll get me sugared up for the cast today. And I'm amazed. I want next time you're in like an Asda, I want you to take a picture for me of the cereal aisle. Not an Asda because they have a crap cereal aisle, but go to like a Tesco.
No, Asda's better where I live.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, it's way bigger.
speaking of way bigger, those bailing hits from Denver are going to be way bigger. He's using the bailings to zone out SortOf Zerglings a little bit here. SortOf finally has his bailings of his own, but again, we're going to see Denver getting a bit of action on this side of the map, just a bit of damage onto SortOf's main base. So it's exactly the opposite of last game, where SortOf was able to damage Denver's base just a little bit. Really nice bailing shots there.
I mean, 2 queens have already gone down. Right now, SortOf is losing a lot of units. He's not been able to find anything. Another queen will fall here for SortOf. SortOf has lost 3 queens in just a matter of minutes, and that is huge. These Lings finding so much damage here, and Denver takes a pretty hefty lead in the early game. He is now getting his Roach Warren. Of course, that is already completed here for SortOf. So SortOf went for the earlier Roach Warren and was punished very heavily here. We can see Denver not committing to too much. Resources lost, favoring Denver by about 400 at the moment, and a very good start to game 2 and on his journey to even things up.
His journey to even things up. I like that.
Right?
That makes it sound like a very a very expensive quest. Exactly. He needs to duck into the armor shop and pick up some +1 before he strikes out. I love it. Well, SortOf's got some units here on the bottom side going into Denver's natural. Denver doing the same thing on SortOf's side. Looks like there's gonna be attack and defense going on at the same time. 2 different fights to follow here, Grant.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like down on the bottom side here, as I have a little bit of lag, that SortOf is going to be able to push Denver back. But at the other side, SortOf finding a little bit more. He now gets the queen kills. It's been a game of who can kill the most queens as the Sporting Pool being targeted down. There are 12 roaches about to pop, though, and they will be able to clean this up. If the queen goes down, this becomes very frustrating. Drone's forced to fight. The queen does fall. So far in this game, 5 queens have died, and we're not even at the 6-minute mark. It's crazy. Lings in the main continue to be a nuisance here. Drone's going down for SortOf. Denver, I would say, has certainly eked out a lead here. His roach count is way higher. His lair is done. No roach speed started yet. I'd like to see that started very, very soon. But it looks like actually he's just fully committing to an all-in here. He's just going to go with what he has, knowing that he's won these early fights. And I like this for Denver. If he can find the right fights here, his +1 will be quicker. There's certainly potential to kill his opponent.
I'm a little surprised to see Denver moving out quite this early. I'd like to see him wait for his +1 to finish. At the same time, he must suspect that SortOf is doing a decent job keeping up with his upgrades, so maybe he thinks that SortOf will have +1 as well. That said, these Bailings will get a decent shot there. First little explosion on those drones. This is a poor choice from Denver, though, to engage here. SortOf's entire army's already here. Denver's got to be pushed back. Look at how low some of those roaches are. Going to try and morph them into Ravagers here, but if SortOf gets on top of those, drops some Corrosive Biles, maybe it'll prevent the Ravagers from going up. Nice Corrosive Biles from Denver to drive SortOf back here, and look at this counter pressure into the natural as well. Denver is all over the place right now. Yeah,
Denver playing a good game. Actually, some Biles managing to connect on a Ravager here, meaning Denver... Oh, he just got big Biled himself. Denver certainly has the Ravager advantage. If he can just hit a couple of good Biles, he'll certainly be able to take this. Maybe even just Bile the base at this point. He knows the army fight is never going to be massively one-sided. He's in the natural. If he can kill off this third, as we see in so many ZVZs, he'll have such a production advantage. Even if he sacrifices these Lings to go for it, I think it's really worth it. It has 400 hit points, and it's so much of the production and, of course, economy here of SortOf. I think Denver playing very safe, and I don't disagree with that as he is. I thought he got his lair. Did he cancel it?
No, he didn't get his lair. Sorry. He didn't have it yet. So SortOf, again, going to have the earlier lair this game, and will get roach speed out a bit sooner. Denver needs to start that +2, though, if he wants to stay on top. +1 just finishing right now for SortOf. Oh, Denver had such a good lead, and then that attack, just a serious overcommitment, honestly, from Denver. SortOf was in position already, and Denver didn't really engage very well. As we said, half of his army in that first attack. The Ling run by at the natural was cute, but it didn't really get much done. He wasn't targeting drones or queens very well. So a bit rough to see, and now SortOf has a chance to come back in this game.
Yeah, Denver still has control of the map. He still he's doing decent. There's nothing to complain about here from Denver's position. He will have an upgrade lead as well, as his +1 carapace is already 2/3 of the way done before any upgrade starts here for SortOf, and that could be massive. We have an Overseer going in, making sure there's no Mutilus transition, making sure everything is very normal, and this lair looks sick. It's all like tentacly.
It's disgusting. It's Brood War lair. It's awful. I hate it.
I love
Good
it.
scout from Denver, and oh my gosh, Grant, we gotta. I don't know if I can legally do this, but we need a sound effect like ESPN has for breaking news. Ba-da-na, ba-da-na. Euthermal has lost the first map to Cass in this group as well. Oh, Group D looking like it could get really spicy here, even if Denver's out. If SortOf wins, as does Cass, that's gonna put this whole group into chaos.
Yeah, I feel really bad for you, Thermal. I know we don't want to talk about the match, we're not commentating here, but the guy's playing for a serious injury. He's in a lot of pain, I can assure you, and I really hope he gets better soon. For now, we do have sort of pushing out, yeah.
Pressure on the north side, by the way. Denver's getting destroyed there at the 12 o'clock. A little Ling run by getting pushed back. Sorry, as sort of moves across the middle of the map.
The drop is heading down the south here. It does look like Denver's controlling the map relatively well. He split his army quite nicely. He has less here, but he does have that big armor upgrade. That's going to be so vital in this fight. As we can see, the roach drop will be heading into that third of sort of very shortly. For now, Denver doing the dance of death, making sure none of his units are going to go down, trying to take even fights across the board. His army just seems to be split a little bit unevenly, sort of losing at the top, winning at the bottom quite handily. Finally, he's going to fix that, but that drop in the natural has managed to find the queen, is going to find quite a bit of damage here, but he has to hold on. Army supply favouring Denver, defender's advantage as well, and upgrades. It looks like Denver's starting to win the fight quite well. His Ravager's really tearing through the Roach army. Biles going down. Denver not doing a great job of dodging Biles this game, but he seems to be winning in every other regard. And finally, he's going to be able to push back SortOf's army here. And I must say, big commends to SortOf. Being down an upgrade and still making the fight look that close was impressive, but Denver evens it up.
What a fascinating positioning war we saw there in that final fight. The two different sides of Denver's army pushing in various ways against the sort of and sort of had to make some really difficult decisions about how much to commit and when to commit to the top and bottom flanks there. A really fascinating engagement back and forth, but as you said, that +1 armor upgrade really shining in the last fight, meaning that Denver is able to stay in the fight for a little bit longer and eventually shore up those flanks with his defender's advantage. The roach drop on the backside was just the cherry on top. Really well played by Denver there, and I'm super excited to see a game 3. Both these guys looking really good in game 2.
Yeah, I think this game, if we're going to see anything a little bit interesting, a little bit spicy, it may come now. I do see both of these as macro players. They've shown they're very, very even in terms of the macro, and I feel like if it goes to the mid-game, it's almost like a coin flip as to who wins. So maybe one of them will flip the coin a bit earlier and go for something very aggressive, you know? Just to try and turn the tables. When you know your opponent is going to open macro-centric, or is expected to, sometimes it can be nice to just 12 pull and pull those boys across the map, build some spines and see what happens. It is going to be Ice and Chrome as our final map of this series, just seeing if the boys are ready before we get started. And Creighton, who's your heart say?
Sort of.
Ooh, okay, yeah, I think I'm probably with you, but I'll say Denver so we're not wrong. The genius approach.
Have the Grandmaster portraits always had the little flames on the side of them that are like sparkling through?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if maybe my graphics settings have changed or something. Maybe I've never noticed it before. I've always just thought they were static.
The Master has the same thing. If you look at like Funker, it's exactly
yeah. I wonder if I changed my graphics settings and suddenly I've literally never seen that before, and there's no way I would miss something like that. With my eye for detail, I know the metal ones flash.
Yes.
Like Robson there in Silver League, but
that's Platinum.
Platinum League, sorry, they look very similar to me, and I can't complain because I don't even have a portrait around my a little box around my portrait, so I can't make fun of anybody.
No, I always leave League before we commentate, so no one laughs at me if I change the scene too early for being in Bronze League. That's a lie.
That's fair.
Bronze League.
That's fair. It's like very statistically difficult to be in Bronze League these days. It's like 2% or something of players. They just keep it there as sort of like, so, oh, no, Bronze League exists and nobody's actually in Bronze League. I don't know anybody in Bronze League. Do you know anybody in Bronze League?
Only you, Creighton, only you. We're loading into our next game.
That's fair.
We're loading in. I'm sorry. I can't help myself. I cannot help myself.
It's a fact. It's okay.
You're not in any league, which is worse. I unplugged my headphones. Creighton, do us a favor as we load into this first map, and I fixed my life. Introduce our first player down here in the bottom left.
I'd be happy to. Spawning in the bottom left-hand side of Ice and Chrome, LE in the red. Representing Cosmos Esports and Sweden, he is Rickard SortOf Bergman.
And his opponent in the top right, whose real name I do not know, with a temporary sponsorship from Team KAP here, he is the blue French Zerg. Can he even this up? It's Denver.
Clément Coste.
His name's Clem too?
Clément. Yes, his name is also Clem.
Wow.
Both Denver and Clem are named Clément. But what a dope-ass name, I will say. I mean, I always think all the pro players' names are cool, but Clément Coste? That sounds
pretty cool. He sounds like a villain in Bond movie.
I was gonna say he's not the villain in a Bond movie. He's like the financier behind the villain in a Bond movie, right? He's like, oh no, the Scar is getting money from Clement Costa, a famous French financier, and you're like, yes.
Ooh, yes.
If we torture Clement Costa, we can find out where his money's coming from.
Where is his money?
StarCraft, obviously. That's how Denver is funding his illegitimate spy operations all over the world.
From his private island.
I mean, come on. What do you think this is? League of Legends? StarCraft players don't have private island money anymore. Other than Flash, and he definitely has private island money.
He has private planet money at this point, I think.
He definitely does. I remember I've read a few, I've heard some stories of Flash like canceling tournaments that he was going to be in. I think this only happened once, but canceled a tournament he was going to be in because he wanted to go to China and sign autographs because that would be more lucrative for him.
Wow.
Than some tournament where he was like, I'll just sign autographs and make money that way. I was like, damn, that's cool. That's freaking, what a baller.
He ended up with wrist pain from signing too many autographs, so it came back to bite him in the end.
Can confirm, absolutely true. Link speed very early here from SortOf, by the way, in the bottom side. Link speed just getting started from Denver as well. So looks like both players, or pardon me, Denver pulling one drone off of gas. I'm not sure if SortOf still mining gas or not. It doesn't look like it. So yeah, both these guys are going to grab their third bases here and stay on their base level technology for a little while. But Denver may have a bit more gas than his opponent. We might see an earlier Roach Warren out of him.
Yeah, it's certainly looking that way. Completely cutting out the gas here from SortOf shows he's going to take that third very early. Denver will match that. But of course, Denver's going to have less workers. SortOf is actually stopped at 19 drones. SortOf isn't droning.
He's going for the 19 drone all in. Or the 19 drone Ling all in.
Yeah, this third is a fake. Or it's just for production, you know, it's not going to be saturated.
Larva. Yeah, more or less a fake.
Yeah.
Interesting. So he's going to try and not only cancel the third here, but some players, when they do this, they skip the third entirely and just go straight to the natural to try and drive this back. The bad news is that Denver's Bailing Nest is down now. So SortOf has to go, and he has to go quickly. I love that he's hiding his Lings back in the backside, waiting for Ling speed to finish. But once Denver's Bailing Nest is finished, it's just going to take some nice positioning, and one good Bailing hit could end his whole man's career. This is a really, really big investment, or a really big risk, rather, for SortOf to take here in a game 3 that he really desperately needs to win.
And Zergling speed finishes up. This has immediately been scouted, though, by Denver. Very nice opportunity for Denver. He's making Lings. He did just make a load of drones. The wall has been completed. This is very, very nice. The wall, of course, will go down, specifically like the Evo chambers. Still very, very weak. You see Bailing's being mobbed in behind us. Queen caught out. That's a great start here for Denver, who's going to be able to take out both of those queens with ease. But now he needs to make his way in, and he's getting pretty close, but he's not quite there. It looks like Denver with an incredible defense here. Bailing's done now, and that's all Denver really, really needed. Right now you can see SortOf is trying to drone. Ooh, but he's so far behind in workers, down 7 already. Oh, actually, okay, SortOf is going to be able to get in, maybe pick up another queen, which would be nice. Maybe, oh my god, those Lings just escaped with their life.
Was that a third queen that just went down for SortOf? No, second queen.
No.
Okay, never mind. Okay, yeah. Wow, this game's in an interesting spot now because, of course, SortOf on 3 bases now to the 2 of Denver. Denver just restarting his third, but the third is finished for SortOf now. So sounds strange to say, but I think SortOf is in a really strong position this game. As long as he can deal with the counterattack and get a Bailing out before this third base goes down, he should be just fine. The problem is his Bailing Nest only about 3/4 the way done, and that's a full surround of angry Speedlings on this third base.
Yeah, there's so many Lings here right now for Denver. Denver is up in even in army supply, but his army is here right now, where you can see a lot of SortOfs at the other side of the map trying to poke and prod and find some counter damage. Looks like they may be able to do so, but everything going wrong at the other side of the map right now for SortOf. Denver picking up multiple drones. That's a 5th of the economy already gone for SortOf. Denver now has 11 more drones than his opponent. He's managed to stabilize at home as well. So although sure, Denver doesn't have that third base, SortOf can't saturate it anyway. He's hardly got any drones.
21-31. Yeah, trying to get those Banelings in the main base is really cute there from Denver. Not going to happen. And SortOf just basically has to keep putting his pressure on. The seesaw of this Zerg versus Zerg Ling-Bane battle is going to go back and forth for a little while longer. The third base finishing up. Oh, that wall finishing just in time. There's a Baneling here ready to go. A second Baneling ready to go as well. And 8 more drones going down, though, for Denver here. This is SortOf's chance for revenge. As we said, bit of a seesaw in this CVZ.
Yeah, the third has been absolutely decimated again. And SortOf is going to be able to get the kill again on the third base, which is very, very important. This is what SortOf needs to get back into the game. Spire has gone down from Denver. He is completely skipping roaches and going straight to Spire. That's very, very ballsy. This Spine has the longest neck I've ever seen. It looks like some of the guys from the the Astralis CSGO team. They've got great big long necks as well. Look at him go, man.
Well, look at that messed up physics on that Zergling. It's like floating upward slowly.
Where?
Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that Zergling like floated upward like it was on that underwater map that was so strange. Oh man, weird physics mistake there from the Link killed by the spine crawler. When I see the spine crawlers, I always think of. Did you ever play Pikmin, Grant?
Yeah.
They look like burrowing snagrit from Pikmin. That's what they always remind me of. I'm like, oh, exactly. That's what they stole it from. Spire about to finish up from Denver, though, and he is saving up a lot of gas, 700 gas. Going to be able to crank out 7 mutas right away. Only a few queens on the other side here for sort of 2 queens. And how many spores, Grant? 0.
Exactly that. 7 mutas on the way. There are 10 roaches being produced by SortOf right now, and SortOf is going to have to move them across the map and try and find a little bit of damage, because these mutas are going to get damage. So I think SortOf is in a position now where he needs to get the kill. He has no answer to mutas, and there is going to be a lot, and they're getting +1. There's so many overlords out on the map as well. Oh, okay, maybe not as many as I thought. But yeah, we go. Instant GG.